One of the things we have learned early in life is that people never grow beyond their sense of self. And your business ideas will never grow beyond your sense of self. It might be strange to hear this, but when you are stuck with a micro, small, or medium or large scale business, it is a reflection of your sense of self. Today on the Business Bootcamp, we're going to be looking at business and your sense of self. And one of the primary objective of hosting today's platform is to really help people to come to that point of self-mastery. And what do I mean by the term self-mastery? Is becoming the best version of yourself. The big question I want to ask, is there a pathway to becoming the best version of yourself? And yes, I do believe that there are multiple pathways if the intention is genuine. For example, when we look at Abraham Maslow, the father of humanistic psychologist, he gave us a pathway when he introduced the hierarchy of human needs. So that's one pathway. But could there be other pathway that can really lead humanity to that point where they're actually able to become the best version of themselves? I believe that government policies can help. I believe our education systems can help. And what I also want to introduce to you is the 1 degree to success. We can also help on that pathway of helping persons to become the best version of themselves. As I go deeper into today's program, I will help you to understand what 1 degree of success can do to help you to come to that point of or get on the path to self-actualize and really grow your business based on an authentic sense of self. Now, today with me in studio, I have a team of dynamic personalities that are going to be supporting me in today's conversation. I have Shivani, and Shivani Sinarang. She's a project management practitioner. I have Peter, and Peter, he is the brain behind Legacy Chronicle Human Growth Plan. I have Frank, and Frank is an economist by profession. He's a leader by practice, and he is a rising star in the writing world. One of his new books is supposed to be out in the not too distant future. We also have Paul Whitehouse, and Paul Whitehouse is a BFC, a business finance consultant, and he's the brain behind Patriot Business Finance Consultants. And when you need money and need it now, Paul Whitehouse is the guy that will give you access to the much needed capital to grow and scale your business. Now, of course, I want to welcome my team to today's program. It's always a pleasure to have each and every one of you. Today is Friday, and Friday we normally try to have it on a conversation on lighter side. So when you go into the weekend, you have a lot of food for thoughts. Today we are talking about business and your sense of self. It's all about mastering who you are. It's all about becoming the best version of who you are. And the big question, is there a pathway to get there? Is there a pathway to get there? And I want to look at a very old thesis that I have developed many, many years ago. And it's talking about some of the information is extracted from Abraham Maslow. And Abraham Maslow, as you would know, is one of the great thinkers who have, established his thesis many, many years ago. And one of the things that he had talked about is the human self-actualization. But just before I come to Abraham Maslow, I want to focus a little bit also on the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goal, because I do believe it ties into some of what we are likely to cover today. When I look at the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal, there's several things that I see. And one I see ending global poverty. I do believe that once we can help people to become the best version of themselves, I see that as being a pathway to ending global poverty. Because the emphasis now is going to be on self mastery. Self mastery is going to give you an outlet to, rise above and poverty. Another goal that I see is ending global hunger. And many years ago, when I was introduced to the goal of the United Nations, I was so impressed. I was so consumed that there's a big institution that is has empathy for humanity and the world, because sometimes you tend to feel that you don't have a whole lot of that. And another concept that strikes me here also in terms of the goal is equal access to quality education. And we will have some deep conversation over a period of time on this particular topic, because I do believe that there is a need for what I call an academic audit. And I talk of academic audit from three standpoints. It's based on the cost. And when we look at cost, we are looking at the cost of academic versus the benefits. We also look at academic from the standpoint of its impact on lifestyle, culture, and social class, and also its impact on the private sector and micro and macroeconomic development. So I'm happy that I'm not the only person thinking about this, but we have the United Nations also, who are focusing on a lot of these critical issues that we tend to discuss when we look at soft social issues. So I want to pause here for now. I'm going to come back to the Maslow thesis very shortly. But in fact, let me just get into the Maslow thesis quickly. One of the things that the Maslow thesis looks at is what we call the human physical needs. And what is that talking about? It is saying that we all need clean air, water, food, rest, exercise, and good health. Now, without these things, it's going to limit how we are positioned to become the best version of ourselves. It's going to limit that. So I'm pointing to Maslow because this is close to 100 years, or perhaps a little over 100 years, this thesis has been out. He also spoke about human security needs. And when we talk of security, we are talking about shelter, stability, and safety. They're saying that we all as humans, we have this type of needs. He also spoke about human social needs. So if we want to become the best version of ourselves, he's saying that these are things that we must think about. Social needs refer to friendship and connection, social safety net, and being heard. And I'm happy that in this group here, we can say that we reach that criteria of having our social safety net. He also looks at human esteem needs that speaks of sense of accomplishments, recognition, and prestige. And all of these things are things that he is pointing out that is necessary for us to know and feel that we are part of if we want to become the best version of ourselves. And the last point that he looks under that hierarchy of human needs, he looked at self-actualization. Now, what is self-actualization? Self-actualization look at achieving one's full potential, living from purpose, passion, and flowing in your gifts. Now, what I've done, well, first of all, I was first introduced, I believe, to the Maslow thesis when I was doing a program, international business at Cambridge University, um, international business program. I was introduced to his thesis. He's one of the HR specialists that we were introduced to, and I was so consumed with this particular thesis because I see, you know, his interest in humanity. But then when I studied the history behind him and the level of resistance that he would have got, I was so surprised. It tells me that perhaps he was years ahead of where people wanted the world to be. And a lot of his thesis was, his ideas was rejected. I did a comprehensive analysis of that study also. I've seen a whole lot of strengths. I've seen some weaknesses, but as time progresses, I will come back to that. But let me say this. One of the reasons I'm bringing up the Maslow thesis, it is because it really gives humanity an opportunity to focus on self-actualization and becoming the best version of yourself. In the beginning of this program, I did say that people can never grow beyond their sense of self, and your business will never grow beyond the sense of self. So why not this type of conversation? Why not his thesis become a more commonplace conversation? And we're going to go a little deeper into this, but I just want to leave that there for thoughts for now. And I want to come to Frank and ask him to just share his thoughts on leadership, on you know, mastering your sense of self, and how all this ties into business. And then I'll come right back to Frank because I'll come right back to Paul because all of this ties into business again. Your sense of self is going to influence how far you go in business. And once you start to think big in business, I want you to know that we have Paul that's going to help you to access the capital to grow and scale your business. But we cannot divorce your sense of thinking, your sense of self to how far you're going to go in business. Frank, all to you. You're mute, Frank.
Sorry. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, my
We're
friend.
talking about sense of self, and there is also a part of leadership that's considered as self-leadership. Basically, talking about how you look at yourself as a leader, and it's an essential component of effective business strategy. Self-leadership refers to the ability of an individual to take ownership of their own actions, their own behavior, and to use their personal power and influence in an effort to drive their own success and the success of the team or organization. We see that in today's fast paced and constantly evolving business landscape, self leadership is more important than ever because it allows individuals to adapt to change, which is something very difficult for a lot of humans. So it allows you to adapt to change, make decisions in the face of uncertainty, and navigate complex and unfamiliar situations. Self leadership also enables you to take the initiative to drive your own career development and for professional growth rather than waiting for opportunities to come to you. But self leadership is not just about personal growth and development, it also has a powerful impact on the overall performance and success of our team and our organization. When individuals are able to lead themselves effectively, they are more engaged, they're more motivated, they're more productive. They are also better able to collaborate with others and build strong relationships and create a positive work culture. We find that there are several key components of self leadership that are essential for the business success. The first one is that self leadership requires a strong sense of self awareness. And this means understanding one's own strengths, understanding your weaknesses, your values, what motivates you. And then you're using this knowledge to make informed decisions and set the appropriate goals. It also involves recognizing the impact of one's own behavior on others, and being open to feedback and continuous learning. Second, self leadership involves setting clear goals and priorities. This means being able to identify what is most important and focusing on it. So rather than getting caught up in the distractions and demands of the day to day, it also involves being proactive in seeking out new opportunities and taking calculated risks to drive growth and innovation. The third aspect is self leadership requires the ability to manage one's own emotions and one's behaviors. This means being able to regulate one's own thoughts and actions and to respond to challenges and setbacks with resilience and grace. It also involves being able to communicate effectively and work well with others, even in difficult or stressful situations. And finally, self leadership requires a strong sense of personal responsibility. This means that you're taking ownership of your actions, taking ownership of your outcomes, and being accountable for the results of those actions. It will also involve being open to learning from failures and setbacks and using them as opportunities for growth, opportunities for improvement, opportunities for development. Overall, self leadership is a critical component of any business strategy because it enables the individual to take control of their own successes and to drive the performance and success of their team or organization. So, by focusing on self awareness, focusing on goal setting, focusing on emotional intelligence and personal responsibility, individuals can become effective leaders of themselves, effective leaders of their teams, and therein contribute to the overall success of their business. And there are several ways in which individuals can learn and develop self leadership skills. But I'll pass on to you now, Gary, and I'll go back to that later.
All right, Frank. Frank, I want to say that I am so touched by the content of information you have just tabled. I'm touched because what you have said is factual, but there lies a challenge, and just let me examine it just a little bit. Self leadership, I believe, is the ultimate play when it comes to mastering your sense of self. It is the ultimate play, and there is where we all need to be. You spoke about driving their own sense of success, driving career development. Self leadership can impact the team and the organization and society as a whole. You're perfectly correct with that, my friend. But one of the big questions that we have to examine is the fact that the majority of the people in the world are not introduced to leadership early in life. So has to come to that point to master who they are, to predetermine how they're applying themselves when it comes to self leadership. There are many persons that goes through life never really understanding what is leadership. So there lies a challenge. You have said everything that needs to be said, but there's a challenge. In most cases, when people are flowing from, self leadership, whatever form that is, it's not necessarily based on a true sense of self, because when we look at the self image theory, in marketing, I was introduced to some aspect of psychology, and in that psychology program, we look at the self image theory that looks at the ideal self, the looking glass self, the self image, and the real self. The self that you're talking about is the real self, but 99.9% of the global population are never really exposed to that true understanding of who the real self is. So there lies the problem when it comes to self leadership. And this goes into many other things because they said that your prefrontal cortex developed perhaps at the age 25. And the challenge that I want to put out in support of what you would have said, Frank, because what you have said is the ideal thing, but the ideal is not necessarily a common view. I want to say that if this can become part of the day to day learning of young people, I do believe as they grow into adulthood, we have great thinkers, great leaders that can now translate into not just starting as a micro entrepreneur and staying as a micro entrepreneur, but you're going to start small and then you're going to scale. Or because
Mm.
of your ability to self determine, you understand the leadership tools that you need to apply to perhaps go big. All right. Perhaps go big. But the socialization has to be different. And again, this is one of the reasons why I'm putting out a call for academic audit. There is an urgent need for the academic audit. Perhaps as we look at a new form of education,
Mhm.
business, and for people, it should take into consideration everything that you have just spoken about, Frank. Because I do not believe from the research that we are doing that it is so designed to help the individual to self lead. I'll go deeper into that later on, but I love what you said, my friend. I want to come to Paul because, of course, this topic may sound soft, but again, as a leader in business, if you're not mastering your sense of self, you're not mastering your opportunity to grow as a rising star in business. So, of course, we have to come to these soft topics because of the fact that our vision is not just pointing out the problem, but we're going to point you to the solution. And one of the solution that we're pointing you to is 1 degree to success that will help you to accomplish everything that Frank just spoke about because he's a professional in this field. He's an economist by profession. He's a trained leader and he's going to be writing multiple books on these subject matters. So he has the knowledge and the experience and he's going to be helping you to navigate these realities that we're talking about. So when a leader comes from him to your organization, there's the ideal leader that you need to help to nurture the growth and development in the organization. And of course, if you're thinking now capital to grow and expand your vision, we have Paul right alongside Frank that is going to talk to us now about access to capital to grow and scale your business. Paul, can you walk us through one of the financial instruments, and then we're going to expand on it before the program ends?
Sure. Good morning. Today, I guess we're going to talk about hard money loans. You hear hard money loans, and that sounds like you don't even know what it is when you hear it. Unless you don't know unless you know. So, what is a hard money loan? It's financing for real estate that really only focuses on the value of the real estate. So, what that means is credit score often unimportant. We represent several hard money lenders. Some of them have a cutoff of 600. Some of them don't worry at all about a credit score. They don't care as long as the property value covers them in case of default. So, what does that mean? And I think you probably have to have self mastery and confidence in order to use something like that because it's taking a risk. Of course, everything is taking a risk. You walk outside of your house, you've taken a risk. You drive a car, you're taking a risk. We know that stuff. What kind of risk are you taking with a hard money loan? Well, you're looking at 12 to 15% interest. That sounds pretty risky. Is it risky? No, I don't think so. Let me tell you why. And then let me quickly tie this into the subject of what we're talking about today. Okay, thinking big, self-mastery. Who does that? Okay, business leaders do that, but who else does that? And if they didn't do it, would they have accomplished what was accomplished? The Vikings, they got on those boats. I mean, they weren't little, but they weren't big, and they came across the North Atlantic. The people who discovered America, they got on boats with sails and headed
Mhm.
west. Do you, World War II fighter pilots or bomber pilots, do you think they had self mastery and were willing to take a risk, a calculated risk? Taking a risk without some chance of success is suicide. Taking a risk when you have a plan to make it happen is possible with big reward. So, like I said, I mean, the sailors wouldn't have had confidence on the captains of that ship when they were coming across the North Atlantic, which is pretty treacherous, if that person was not a leader and in control of himself and, the ship, of course. Those World War II bomber pilots, three-fourths of them didn't come back. They had to do 18 missions, and most of them didn't live, and they knew it. So they're flying into flak flying everywhere. That's kind of, I would say that's self-mastery when there's crazy stuff going on all around you, and you're just holding the steering wheel straight. So, like relating that, I know that's a far stretch back to hard money lending because
No, it's not.
okay, yeah,
It's not.
I don't
It's
think it is.
uncle.
Yeah, it sounds like
It's
it is.
uncle.
Really, it's not. I mean, it's not life threatening, but let's jump back to that. Hard money loans, you don't just have to have difficult credit to get a hard money loan. You might have the best credit in the world, but you need a quick closing. You can close in 10 days, 2 weeks, as compared to three to 5 weeks with conventional financing. And why would you do that? Why would you pay 15% interest? Why would you ever think of that? Because it doesn't matter. If you're going to take control of the property quickly and then flip it or do something with it, refinance it immediately, you have to take control. Otherwise, somebody else will buy it. Or there's always going to be circumstances why you're doing what you're doing. So is that risky? Is 15% risky? If you're only going to pay on it for 3 or 4 months, that doesn't sound risky. How much money is that? It's not very much. So hard money loans, credit score, all realistically unimportant. You will be paying a high interest rate. You'll have 2 years to refinance it, flip it, or do whatever you're going to do with it. So you got 2 years, 15% interest rate. If it's a purchase, 35% down, maybe 30, but it's not going to be 20 and it's not going to be 25. So that describes a hard money loan. We can help you with that. Patriot Business Finance Consultants, Global Capital Incorporated. If you need that, plus any other business financing need, we've got you covered. Paul at patriotbfc.com, Gary at Global Capital Fund Ltd at gmail.com.
All right. Now, thanks for that share, Paul. I just want to chime in a little bit to some of what you would have said. Rising to that point to master your sense of self or self mastery doesn't mean that life is going to be easy. Life is like a jungle. Life is just like the war that you described there, Paul, but you need leadership to navigate the realities of life. So I love those examples that you would have used because self mastery says that regardless of how rough the terrains of life is, you are conscious decision that you're going to chart your course. you're going to influence a positive outcome. And for me, this is a lot about biblical, because one of the greatest assets that we were given, when humanity was created, is the power of choice. The power of choice. And I trust that we can really tap it. Sometimes I believe that we give that power to choose away. And most of us are subject to thinking small, when we could just push that ceiling a little bit to expand our way of thinking. And that's where self mastery comes in. And I want to believe that when I look at the 17th United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, I'm seeing some of this also. So I'm not an isolated person who just have wishful thinking. I'm, I'm seeing the United Nations also have some of this thinking. But also, I want to come back to the fact that with Paul as a rising star in business, we're gonna push you. We're gonna support you with the mentorship, with the coaching, with the support to start small and get big fast, and provide you with all of those supports that you need to ensure that you can have a big business, a strong business that can make impact on the world. Of course, we are here. We are all humanitarians. So sometimes when you hear a whole lot about these human and empathy, it's because we are humanitarians and we really care about people. We care about humanity. Our life's purpose, as Maslow talks about purpose, our purpose is to serve humanity. And that's a serious commitment that we have made. So again, when you're thinking about access to capital, I want you to think about us, because throughout the United States of America, 50 states, whether it's hard money lending or whatever, for your real estate investment portfolios, we can help you. I'm going to come to Shivani now, but just before I come to Shivani, Paul, I want to put something out that I heard yesterday. And I'm so happy that we are doing what we are doing, because we are showing people the alternatives. America right now is in a housing crisis, and where we have the demand for housing is 4 million above the supply capabilities at the moment. And because of this, it's created major challenges. There's significant inflation on the cost for rental and the cost for purchase. And I was surprised to hear two sides of the coin. And I know which side of that coin we truly believe in. There is one person that was articulating that Americans should stop thinking about the American dream, which is to own your own home and have that sense of security, which again Abraham Maslow talked about. And I was so dumbstruck by that statement, because you had an entire swarm of people that was speaking one narrative, and the narrative is that American, based on these inflated costs that are taking place, that should stop thinking about owning their own home, because their single source of income cannot support the debt payment. But on the other side of it, I was so happy as I started to navigate that there was an experienced real estate investor like us that started to show the option. Your single source of income, based on the reality, may not be able to support you right now, but you and your spouse can come together. That creates a window of opportunity. Son and daughter can come together. That creates a window of opportunity. Father and son can come together, another window of opportunity. A second job can come in, another window of opportunity to generate additional income so you too can become homeowners. That's not all, Paul. You can also look, instead of buying a rental property, which is a liability, you can now purchase what you call property as income producing asset. And all of this, the those we're called so-called economic analysts, they did not present any of this to the populace. And I find that to be very deceptive. I just wanted to put that. Go ahead, Paul.
Okay, that just clicked me on me something. Seriously. Let's give up the American dream or the Argentinian dream or the French dream, whatever. Excuse my language, what a bunch of weak pansies. Now, are they leaders? Do they have self-mastery? Or are they the people that if you get trapped in the jungle, all five of us, if we're trapped in the jungle, I know that we're going to drag each other out. We got to walk for 10 days. I'm going to want to throw Shivani over my shoulder, but Peter's going to argue with me and say, I want to do it. I
That's
want to
my job. That's my job.
That's my job. That's what Peter's going to say. And Frank's going to be like, Frank's just going to be doing it, but we'll make it
we
out.
we have to protect the queen bee, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you could be over your shoulder. You could protect me different way. Throw me over. I don't.
I'm talking about on day 4 when we're all thirsty and hungry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Not day 1. Not day 1. If anybody tries to do that on day 1, that's weird. But we're going to get out. But the people you said who described give up. I'm not. You just said it. Go get another job. Go figure it out. Go get 3 jobs. Work those until you can actually get a plan to do one thing and make a bunch of money. I'm sorry. That's dumb. I had to
Yeah,
say something.
it's dumb. It's dumb. Paul, I behave worse than you. I was sitting with my team and I was saying, what bunch of baloney these guys are talking about here? They're literally telling people to give up on their dreams. I mean, how can you do that? Man, we've talked about this several, Paul. Shivani, I would love to hear your take on the issue of self-mastery and how far a business can go based on people's sense of self. I would love to hear how you can align project management into all of this, because what I love about you and project management is that project management sees the problem, project management identify the solution, and project management develop the game plan that can steer and navigate, towards a particular end results. And that's what I love about what you're doing. All to you, Shivani.
Thanks, Gary. Before you brought me into talk, I thought you were saying you will save the best for last, right? And
But
then that is when
but
I
you're better than the best. You are
realized
better than the
somebody
best.
reached out to me. So I don't know. I don't know, right?
You
But
you
really,
are
that's
our
the
queen
point.
bee, so you're better than the best.
No, no,
You're
no,
well
no, because
protected and
after me to speak,
insulated.
I'm
Who's the
seeing
queen bee?
no, after
Okay,
I'm
Shivani.
speaking, somebody else is going to come in here, and I'm not going to. You'll figure out who the person is, and
Okay,
this
Shivani.
person. Are you taking the best for last? I don't know. Right, but it's such a great conversation, and how project management could really help us as an individual to become better at self, or to become more self mastery, as we say, self practitioners, as we say. You mentioned about the SDG goals, the Sustainable Development Goals. And, this is the point that a lot of us are preparing education based on as well, the SDG goals. There are 17 SDG goals and Sustainable Development Goals. One would be on education, quality education, as we know, as you mentioned. The other one that I want to speak a little bit about is to show, which one was this? Decent work and economic growth. Decent work and economic growth. How can an individual, so that's one of the sustainable development goals. And as you know, these 17 development goals now, this is what a lot of organizations, a lot of people now will design training, design different things around it to ensure that it does happen. Now, how do you have decent work? How do you have economic growth? It comes around development of self. I'll always say that is development of self. And how do you understand yourself to grow? Look at yourself as a project. That's what we have to do. We have to look at ourselves as a project. That's because we are the biggest project. What really is the project? What do you have to do? How do you have to accomplish it? And what I wanted to, we are speaking about continuous learning. You have to continuously learn something. All right. Is it to say now a degree, a master's, a PhD is going to make you into this individual to really get better and self
Mm,
mastery? Could a person stay 10 years and keep doing these things in order to see one thing? Is it then going the outcome of that for the individual? Because you're seeing yourself as a project then. Is it now that at the outcome of that project, when you complete the master's, you're going to get decent work and economic growth? Or when you
Mm.
do PhD, or when you do even your undergrad? So you also mentioned about education is changing, which is something that, I mean, it's something that I preach all the time. It needs to change, right? What I want to throw out is my story and how I think I have learned a lot. It's not through doing an MBA or doing a PhD or doing an undergrad. Definitely, it's not through that, but really taking a micro learning approach. Now, micro learning is very, very essential. You could ask me about 20 different things, and I'll be able to contribute to the conversation. So just understanding the micro learnings, and this is a project that you could get better at, right? You look at it as a project and you say, okay, how do I want? The outcome is for me to make more money, and as you said, not to live paycheck to paycheck. And how do you really grow? So you need knowledge, right? You need to be able to get information out there. Information must be there. So we need to create micro learnings, and that's what I work on. I mean, if you look at my organization, that's what I do a lot of micro learnings, where immediately the person could get an outcome. It's very
Mm.
short, but then you can certify these micro learnings. This is how the education system should change. However, you and I both know that it is still in a way, Paul, that people want to go to long to do something. They believe only long will get them something, and you'll get better results if you take 2 or 3 years to probably do an MBA or something like that. But then we have to analyze the world is changing. By the
Yeah.
time you finish, get this, what is there? My story is that I could tell you about 20 different things I have learned through the micro learning way. And it has contributed better that my income is not in one way, right? So for me to really understand self mastery, what I want to contribute, education is a big win here. You have to understand education, but the education system also got to change. And yes, we're talking about the SDG goals, but the SDG goals, Sustainable Development Goal, which is quality education. This is what we'll be talking about in more to come. But you also have to concentrate a lot now on economic growth, which is another part of the sustainable goal, is another goal. And how do you do that as an individual? So the micro learning concept can really assist us. It's something that works. Thanks for that, Gary.
All right, thanks for that share, Shivani. And I love your perspective. And what I take away from what you're saying is that you the facts are showing. I'm not getting into the facts today, but we see that in the world today, in the US alone today, we have $1.707 trillion in federal student loan debt. And the facts are showing that 92% of those students struggle to pay this debt. And that's to get their MBA, BSc, PhD, and so on. They struggle for 10, 15, 30 years to pay.
Mhm.
Many of them are unable to make the payment. So another reason why I would call for the academic audit is that the cost of academic should never outweigh the benefits of the academic. All right. The benefits should outweigh. And is there a smarter way? Again, the 1 degree we will go deeper into some of these analysis. 1 degree to success to evaluate some of what you've just spoken about. Is there a better, smarter way to achieve these objectives? I mean, we are talking about academics, and they're supposed to be some of the smartest people the world has ever known. And I would have expected that some of those great minds that we have out there to be the drivers of these conversations. And so I trust that we're just tipping the iceberg and we are inspiring some of the great minds, academics in the world, to come do this analysis and add to this type of conversation. But just before I come to Peter, I want to talk just a little bit about 1 degree of success to just help the public to understand how we are thinking. One of the first takeaway with the 1 degree of success, you will learn how to start thinking in art and science. And we relate this to the art and science of success. Now, for the benefit of the audience, what is art? Art are tools and processes and systems that you're going to use to achieve an end result. It's an artistic approach. All right. What is science? Science is designed to give you high reward. Science is designed to give you measurable outcome. Science is designed to give you predictable outcome with the highest degree of accuracy. When you take any form of medication, is because scientists they have researched it, and they can because they have test and test and test, they're able to give a predictable outcome in most cases. Can academic give us the predictable outcome that we want? Just food for thoughts. All right. And if not, why not? A lot of capital is invested into this. As an employer, when you bring an employee into the organization, can you predict the level of performance that they're going to be bringing to that organization to help to leapfrog the growth of the organization? As a leader in business, am I entitled to have these questions, to have these thoughts, to evaluate all of this? Because I am bringing HR into the organization to achieve a vision. And of course, the vision is not singular. It's not just about growing my organization, but I want to know that I can impact that organization, team dynamics at the same time. Just food for thoughts. All right. We will explore further on this in the high degree, the 1 degree to success. So one of the major takeaways that you will learn is the art and science of success. Take the guesswork out of going for success. You will also learn about what we call evidence-based marketing. Do things based on evidence. Do the market analytics, do the research, get the evidence, and then you deploy your human, technical, and capital resources towards achieving an end results. And that's what this program does. And can we hold universal academics to this same standard? Where when I decide to send my kids to do a master or a bachelor or their PhD in a particular field, I can predict that they're not just having that certification. I can predict that there's going to be job security. They're given the sense of security that their studies are going to be relevant 10, 20 years down the line,
All sense
or
of security.
upon upon graduation, their courses are still relevant, so they can be gainfully employed. All right. Is it able to give me this degree of predictability? And if not, why not? So I'm going to pause here for now. Peter, all to you.
Yeah, thanks, Gary. And I just want to recognize the Queen being here today. The other guys are showing up as well. But
Hey, you
it's
guys,
always a
behave
pleasure.
yourself.
It's
Behave
always
yourself. All
Save the
right.
best for last. That's what I meant. That's why he came with that comment. Now you know, Gary. You didn't
I
realize.
know he's compensating, right?
Yeah.
it's a
He's
pleasure.
compensating for our deficiencies, right?
And,
Okay.
I'm making sure I'm gonna make sure that I'll be here Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm not sure about, but yeah, but it's a pleasure being here.
Paul, Peter, pause a minute. Paul, if you see you try to get into the room but you can't get it on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, it's not me, right? It's Peter.
I know.
All right.
I know. I've already anticipated that, and I've got a plan in place.
I'm telling you, right? So you could come up with your strategy, right?
I already thought about it. Got it done.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
Peter, all to you, my friend.
yeah, it is great. It is great. Always great to be here. We just want to let our listening audience know as well that if I had When I was doing my research to know how to get into entrepreneurship, I had to be searching all over on the internet to grasp information from here, there, and everywhere. But the business boot camp coming here, it is this local spot where you can get a it's a one-stop shop for getting sound understanding of what you need to do in developing your entrepreneurial processes and to get results. You definitely will get results here, so stay here, come back here every day. You will learn so much. As Shivani mentioned, micro learning, this is a spot where you can get micro learning that is practical. But what we're talking about today is business growth and the sense of self. And with this, we want individuals to understand that everything that you look at around you, when you're talking about having a sense of self, the approach that I want to bring to the community today is to understand that everything around you, it is not just a product or a service, but it is the packaging of somebody's thoughts. It is the packaging of somebody's intellect. It is the packaging of somebody's imagination. It is the packaging of somebody's choice, their will. It is the packaging of how somebody feel that is embodied into that product. So it is the packaging of somebody's soul, and it is the packaging of somebody looking into the marketplace and they see a gap, they see a problem, that they feel I am empowered to solve that problem, and they produce that product or that service that we are now using. I'm sitting at a table, but there was a time when this table was in somebody's mind. I'm here speaking through the computer, my laptop, and there was a time when this laptop was non-existent. It was in somebody's mind that produced it, and now it is the solution that we're using to communicate to you right now. So everything is the packaging of self. The issue is that a lot of people do not know how to package themselves as a solution to the myriads of problems that are in our world today. So, what we do at the Human Growth Master Plan program is to assist individuals to understand what is the solution that they were designed to bring to the marketplace. And there's a very simple way how an individual can do that. And I'm just gonna drop it in a memorable way, and then I'm gonna pass it back to Gary. But to really define or to really bring self as a solution, there's just about four things that you can do, and I'm gonna make it very memorable. Spend time to define yourself. Just take some time to define yourself, because when you begin to really look at yourself as a solution, we all have baggages and problems and chaos and pain and all of that. But very much so, when you begin to understand that those baggages and those pains and those conditions that you're having, a lot of people have those same baggages and pains and problem. And it just might be that those baggage and pain that you are in is just because you ought to find a solution for it that will also be marketable in the general marketplace. So I would encourage individuals to spend some time and define yourself. It's important for you to, if you're going to master yourself, you have to spend time with yourself. Sometimes we become so busy, pulled in so many directions in the world, that we do not take time to get to really know who we are, who you are. So you need time. Spend time with yourself to define you and understand you. Because when you do that, the next thing that you can now begin to do is to understand that you need to discipline yourself. right? So spend time with yourself, discipline yourself. And when you discipline yourself, that's where the master comes out, because now you're able to, manage yourself better. You're not pulled all over the place. You can lead yourself, as Frank has mentioned before. You have a sense of direction, you know where you're going with your life. And then when you discipline yourself, then you can develop yourself. You can now begin to look at those areas of yourself that needs development, and you work on that and develop that. And then when that is done, the last
Mhm.
component that you can do now is to distribute yourself. And the distribution of yourself now is in the components of products and services in the marketplace. It is the solution that you have discovered. It is the design in your mind that you realize that there's a gap in the marketplace that need that, and you can now distribute yourself in the form of solutions that tomorrow you now have that legacy that is now being passed on to generations to come. And that's my little bit there, Gary.
All right. Peter, you made some good points. And spend time with yourself, invest in, discovering who you are in order to, master yourself. And I do believe that that is some very, very solid advice. I do believe that the best time to spend time with yourself is is during school,
Mm,
and the best time to master yourself is during our schooling, and the best time is before work.
mm,
Because when we analyze work life, you recognize that, you know for many persons, you work the 8 to 4, the 9 to 5, and perhaps after that you still go and do some studies. Perhaps after that you still have to run home to take care of kids. You have a lot of responsibility for a lot of persons, after their work life, to then deal with their social life. So that's why I do believe that the time that we should be spending in self mastery perhaps can be observed during our socialization, our academic socialization period. But that thesis is completely out of the window. Perhaps we need to ask why. If not, why not?
mm,
The other concept that I want to just throw out here, I can recall since I was a little boy, perhaps running around in my shorts, as they would say, I was exposed to a content of information that says that we as human beings, we do not even use 5% of our brain power.
right.
And when I heard that, I was shocked, and I'm talking, quite a number of years ago. It's over 40 years ago. Yes, I'm going to sound like an old man now. But from then to now, that's reality hasn't changed. The reality hasn't changed. Today, we still have that reality, and we still have, artificial intelligence that is, coming in place and is superseding human intelligence. But I want to bring this back to a private sector issue. As a leader, a player in the private sector, I'm very much concerned about human resource development, because human resource, today, while we have artificial intelligence that is playing a tremendous role in the organization today, I don't want to downplay the importance of human resource. And I still believe that as great leaders across the world, uh, there is perhaps a need for that new academic thesis. Not perhaps, I'm saying that there is a need for a new academic thesis that can help humanity to push beyond uh, the use of less than 5% of their brain power, and perhaps go into six and the seventh and the eighth of how they're able to utilize their brain power. And I'm saying this taken from the 17th United Nations Sustainable Development Goal. And I'm also saying this as a humanitarian. One of the major challenges that I have is not that I'm going to hit technology, not that I'm going to hit artificial intelligence, because I do believe that they play a tremendous role in the ease of doing business. But while we look at the importance of AI in growing a business, I want us to really emphasize that there's also a need to help humanity to self actualize, to help humanity to reach their full potential. Because with AI and the rate in which it's going at, you're going to find already millions of the human in the workforce is going to be displaced, and human can quickly become an extinct species, and that's not something that we want. Um, Again, one of the reasons we have developed, or one of the reasons we are calling for an academic audit, is because I believe some of these essential issues can be examined. And if we have humanity among us, I do believe that we will have a fairer system. We are not waiting, however. We are pushing ahead with 1 degree to success. And this platform is really designed to help people to understand options, all right? Measurable options. I'll go deeper. I want to encourage you to keep following us across social media, YouTube, and across other social media platforms as we go deeper into this. As a rising star in business, I also want to emphasize that we're here to give you a comprehensive support. So when it comes to your project, we have a project management expert. When it comes to access to capital, we have a financial expert. We have multiple financial experts. When it comes to leadership, we have leadership experts, and all of which are committed to helping you to accomplish your business objective. My last word before I come to Shivani, the last thing that I want to say on this point is that when we invest in human resources, it is perhaps the only way to build a sustainable organization and have that competitive advantage. And that, again, is one of the reasons why we are looking at business growth and your sense of self, your employee sense of self. When they have that strong sense of self, when they have that strong sense of direction, that strong sense of purpose, and all of this can be aligned to the organization, you become unstoppable. The organization becomes unstoppable. And that's a goal that we are setting out to accomplish. Shivani, your thoughts?
Thanks, Gary. To close off my closing remarks, really, in order to get better at self, to improve, I just want to take a few points that everybody's talking about. One of the points that you mentioned, no, not you mentioned, was Peter. You really can't get better at something if you don't sit back and really look at yourself first, right? So as we say, you have to slow down in order to move faster, right? And to me, that's a big thing that we need to do more of. I myself always, I have to slow down in order to understand where I want to go next and what I want to do, which is the agile way in project management. So really, to become better at yourself, you have to understand yourself. So you have to slow down in order to move up, in order to move faster, to think fast, and to, find yourself first. You mentioned in terms of school, you may find it there. Yes, of course, because you may have more time rather than when you get older, like us now, you have 100 different things that you have to do. However, I personally have found too that myself have changed over the years, right? So 10 years in school, I'm totally different now. So to me, I look at it in a decade. Every decade, how do I want to develop myself more? Right? I may not want to be in an 8 to 4 job. I may want to write a book. What I want to do, what I want to do. So it does change. Self mastery for me, yes, you have to slow down in order to get better. But you'll find yourself, and yourself, you'll realize is change over a period of time. And the reason that yourself will be changing, because when you look back 10 years ago, you say, oh yeah, that's how I was. Yeah, good. I learned something there. Then I move again, I learn something again. So what helps me really to do that concept is micro learning, as we said. micro learning and learning many things. Now, micro learning, you can actually certify programs, and just like how you have a degree and a master's, the micro learnings can be certified as well, which is what we do. And I will continuously push that the micro learning could help you to improve yourself. And you're not looking at, I'm starting after I'm 21, I came out of UE university. I'm not looking at, okay, by 60 years when I retire, this is my normal career path. Normal career path don't work again, right? As all of us know,
Yeah.
right? So you have to look at it in phases. And this is where mastering yourself can help you to get out of that thinking that when you come out with your degree or your undergrad or what have you, it's only one way that you're going to go. No, you're going to go many different ways. Mastering yourself could help you to do that. So to tie in the concept that I'm preaching, really, like Peter, I could preach as well.
Okay, sure.
You know, I don't know. You might say, I don't know if you might say I'm better at the preaching than Peter, but and another point would be to master yourself. You really need to look at micro learnings. Micro learnings can help you to learn so many different things and not only go in one direction, but many different directions. Yeah, thanks, Gary.
All right, thanks for that share, Shivani. Peter is saying that you're a better speaker because he has so much respect for women.
Oh,
Not just that. Not just that. She is. She is.
good. So we'll do a little something then. Yeah, good.
Okay, that was a great share, Shivani. There's so much of deep dive in. We are just scratching the surface here on these talking points. But you made a lot of great points, Shivani. I do believe an essential part of a new curriculum should be about helping, academics to understand financial intelligence, because we know that the ability to build wealth is not based on how much you earn, it's how much you can keep and how much you can invest. And
Mhm.
very often we still see, some of the brightest people in the world, they're still going paycheck to paycheck. So these are issues that we will bring to front in one degree to success. And because we truly believe that academics are supposed to be the smartest people in the world, but why be the smartest people when you're still going paycheck to paycheck? Something needs to be tweaked in
Yeah.
the academic formula to correct that. And I'm saying this, over 10 years ago, I'm talking to young lawyers, and they're saying to me, I have my law degree. His wife has the medical degree. They're both practicing, but they're still going paycheck to paycheck. So there's a certain type of education that must be included in that curriculum, and we will explore that as time progresses. All right. So great share, Frank and Paul. Can I have your share or your closing remarks? I know you give us a spread now on the multiple financial instruments that you have, because at the end of the day, we are pro business. We're all about giving businesses the support that they need to grow and scale and self actualize. You might be a micro, and I love Shivani concept, micro.
Right.
And just to support what Shivani would have said, I was doing this for many years and I wasn't aware of this, because I would read a whole book, Shivani, and
Mm-hmm.
then what I would do, I read it 5 times, and then I'll still come back to it and take it chapter by chapter, dissect it. So when I'm articulating myself around it, I really understand it, and that's micro learning. You learn
Yeah.
the whole, and then you break it down to its respective unit, and then you expand. And that's one of the reasons why sometimes very often I find gaps and loopholes and weaknesses in some of what is articulated in text, in
Mm-hmm.
thesis. So it has some benefits. My good friend Paul, all to you, my friend.
Thank you. Okay, at Patriot Business Finance Consultants, what we can do for you is help you get what you need as far as business financing. How do we do it? A wide network of lenders and resources. We have somebody who does everything. We are specialists with a generalist ability to pull resources from. What are those resources? You need equipment financing. We are going to set you up with equipment leasing with leasing companies who want to say yes and who've been in business for a long time. We don't work with people who are new. We work with people who have been around and are experienced. Okay. Commercial and investment property financing. And this relates to equipment leasing. What I'm going to say right now, excellent credit, you know you're covered. We're just going to get you better than what your bank can do for you. Difficult credit, you don't think you can be approved? You can. Call us, let us explain how, and let us get it done for you and get you back on track. Factoring, purchase order financing. If you need cash flow, factoring is the answer. You need to fulfill an order, purchase order financing is the answer for that. Industrial hemp fiber, yes. Call us. We want to talk to you. If you know what I'm talking about, then we need to talk. Industrial hemp fiber. And then closing remarks. Contact Paul at patriotbfc.com, Global Capital Fund Ltd at Gmail. Email both of us. Set an appointment up with us so we can get to work on and get a solution for you. And I guess my final comment on what we're talking about today is I'm just going to go back to what my friend TJ Williams likes to say, his four favorite words. You can and act now. Do it. Do it. Don't overanalyze it. If you're doing it and you make a mistake, you'll recognize it and then you'll correct and you'll take another look at it and do it from a different angle, but do it. Don't sit and think about it for a week. Don't sit and think about it for a day. Start exactly right now. And if you get 1% better every day, then in 100 days, you're twice the person you were.
All right. I want to acknowledge C Media Canada. We have one of our viewers all the way from Canada who's blowing up the chat. So I just want to acknowledge you. He says that person said they are truly enjoying the program. So I want to just give some kudos to my team.
C Media, C Media.
Okay, yes, C Media out of Canada. I also want to thank the viewers that are looking at this program from across the world. I recall we were on multiple platforms. I also want to thank those who will be listening to the replay. We do this program all for you because we want to ensure that you have enough information to position yourself to make the best business decision to grow and scale. All right. So I want to thank Paul again for giving us an open, so much of clarity on the different types of financial instruments that are available. So if you're in business, you should not be struggling to access capital because we can get you access to capital. All right. You could be in 50 states in the US. We can support you to access that capital. We also have a critical team players that's going to help you to understand project management, how to develop your master plan, person that are going to help you with leadership, people that are going to help you to not only understand how to access, but how to leverage and mitigate capital. So there's so much of learning in our platform. I want to thank the viewers from across the world who have taken the time to be here today. We cannot do this without you. I want to encourage you to like, subscribe, and share so you will be the first to get these content that we are bringing to you on a regular basis. And my last words, I want to thank Shivani for always taking the time out and coming and give us her A game. She's an exceptional talent, tremendous passion for project management. So when you guys come in and you're working with our project management lead, we know that you're going to get the result that you need. Paul, he's extremely passionate. We always say you are approved. And I know that he's going to work with you to ensure that your FICO score, your credit score, you do the homework. So when you're working with him, you will be approved for funding. Um, what I like about Paul, he's not just a businessman, he's a humanitarian, just like Shivani and Peter. Peter is the kind of guy that would always say to you, you need your master plan for life. You have your master plan for business. Where's your master plan for your life? You need to focus on you, focus on self actualizing because people can never grow beyond their sense of self. Your business will never grow beyond your sense of self. Our vision here is to work with you to help you to have that expanded vision of yourself based on some of these theses that we talked about, we didn't invent it. You know, Abraham Maslow that talks about self-actualization is a great mind. I love his thesis, and we're going to continue to amplify some of those teachings in our program. So, with that being said, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, my team, the audience, for being here today. And we will do this again tomorrow, Saturday, at 3 p.m. EST. So, with that, go ahead, Paul. I know you want to say something. Go ahead.
I would just like to thank Shivani for the show. That's all. That's it. That's all.
Shabani, the star of the show.
Thank you, Paul, for always thinking about me. Yeah.
You're welcome. Yeah.
So, are you saying that I don't always think about you?
Yeah. We had this
Oh my
conversation
God.
already. We
These
had this
guys gonna fight
conversation
now.
already. That absence don't make the heart fonder. If somebody tells me absence makes the heart fonder, I'll say, okay, bye-bye. All right, Paul, here you go.
Oh my. All right, guys. You guys have a great rest of the day and a great weekend ahead of you. It's always a pleasure being with you guys.